Welcome to episode 129 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. Are you a business owner or executive searching for practical strategies to grow your company? This podcast series focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business, and is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives. But anyone interested in business can benefit. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. In the previous episode, 128, our guest was Tom Schwab, discussing the introvert's advantage. Today's episode discusses pricing your product or service with Ryan Hogan. Based out of Los Angeles, California, Ryan Hogan is the co-founder and CEO of Talent Harbor, a company that provides recruiting as a service. Let's welcome Ryan Hogan. Ryan, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today, Ryan. Ryan, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background in becoming the co-founder and CEO of Talent Harbor, a recruiting company that provides recruiting as a service?
Yeah, I'll give you just the wave tops. We could probably just talk an hour about the crazy history that I've had. The thing is, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. I've built many businesses. I would say 90% are not successful. That's certainly a part of the journey. But like ever since I watched, weirdly, the Santa Claus, where Tim Allen's in there and he's doing like his whole pitch, I was like, I want to be like that guy, where like big ideas and that type of stuff. The problem is I had a lot of energy and a lot of passion, but I didn't know how to channel it. So I was not good in school at all. Actually, my senior year, I was absent more days than I was present. And so I joined the Navy right out of high school. And I've had this weird like dual track professionally ever since. And so I've been in the Navy now for the last 23 years. 15 years were active duty. I transitioned from enlisted to officer on that active duty journey. Today, I still serve in the reserves. And then on the entrepreneurial path, before Talent Harbor, it was something called Hunt a Killer. And Hunt a Killer was this immersive murder mystery experience. We delivered it to your doorstep episodically each month. We grew and scaled that starting in 2016-ish, $0 to $55 million over 6 years, and wound up selling it last year. And my Vistage chair business coach came to me and he was like, hey, kid, you're not going to be able to sit still. And so what I want you to do is go pick your favorite line item and go do that for a while. For me, it was people, the investment, development, coaching, mentoring, everything people related. We spent about $1 million on recruiting. And I was like, this is the stupidest industry to ever exist. And it needs to be, something needs to change. And so Talent Harbor, I called the best recruiter we ever used at Hunt a Killer. And she had just sold her company. And she was like, yeah, let's do this. And the whole philosophy behind what we do is expert recruiting is a core competency. Most of the time when people are looking for new people, it's like, hey, you're the hiring manager, whoever the senior person is, they're like, you're going to be the hiring manager. Well, that hiring manager might be a great operations leader, a great marketing leader. That doesn't translate into someone that spent their entire career getting really good at recruiting. And so expert recruiting is truly a core competency that like needs to be developed, but it's been historically inaccessible to small, medium-sized business. So the first thing we started with was, let's make expert recruiting accessible for small, medium-sized businesses. So that's kind of the genesis story of Talent Harbor.
Well, that kind of leads into this topic. Today's episode's topic is pricing your product and service. What are some real-world tactics for pricing strategies that stick?
There's actually a couple things here. So when and this has been mainly consistent across any of my businesses, whether it was Run for Your Lives, the first ever zombie-infested obstacle course race, or it was Hunt a Killer, which was a monthly subscription, or Talent Harbor with how we landed on pricing. So I would say, like, generally speaking, like, you kind of have to start low. You have to prove yourself. You have to get clients and things like that. And so you want to price it as, especially if it's not innovative. Like, recruiting is a commodity for all intents and purposes. And so, like, there's an existing model and it's 30% of first year salary. When we thought about pricing for Talent Harbor, we looked at the value first. Like, what is the value in which we're providing and what are the costs associated with delivering that value? And so we actually worked backwards from what's it going to cost us to land on, I would say, like the minimal viable price where we could still acquire clients, but at the same time, we would just be super, super competitive with historical recruiting business models. So like we said, and I don't want to sound like totally like we pulled a number out of thin air, but to a certain extent, we said $5,000 a month is makes recruiting accessible, having no contract, no minimum term length where they can turn it on and turn it off as they need some sort of like recruiting competency internally. And we'll see where that lands us. So like with that, with what we're doing today, it's been a lot of testing, a lot of building relationships, a lot of solving and figuring things out. And we're at a place today where we can raise prices, and instead of being 65% cheaper, we could be 50% cheaper and still delivering better results than other shops out there. With Hunt a Killer and Run for Your Lives, we really took an industry approach and not a cost savings approach. So when you think about 5-kilometer outdoor obstacle races, there was Tough Mudder Warrior Dash Spartan Race. We looked at kind of what they were charging, and we charged the same thing because we knew that's what consumers were using to kind of associate the value of the experience versus what they were going to pay for that experience. Same thing with Hunt a Killer. Like most subscription boxes out there back in 2016-ish, Birchbox, Loot Crate, they were $30 a month. And we said, well, the market's already kind of solved this. It's not our competitive advantage is not going to be the pricing of this. It's going to be on the delivery and the innovation of the actual product itself. So Hunt a Killer, or excuse me, Talent Harbor, a little different. We did focus on pricing as a competitive advantage. Others, we just took what other people were paying and said we do it better.
You just mentioned about raising your price. What are some signals that it's time to raise or lower your price?
Raising prices is like I'll give you a real world example. It is one of the most stressful things you can do because like if you land on the wrong number, like you can essentially wipe away a lot of what you've built because people are so accustomed and used to paying it. And we did this. So literally April 1st, maybe it was the week before, March, April, May, March, probably late March, we increased our pricing at Talent Harbor. We went from 5,000 to 6,100. And all of a sudden on April 1st, like all of our pipeline just went dry and we're like, what's going on? So we reverted everything. We were like, it must be pricing everything else. It was not. It was Donald Trump's, I think they called it Liberation Day, but it's when all of the tariffs went into effect on April 1st, and it shocked all small, medium-sized businesses. And so instead of being bullish and going out and hiring for what they needed, they started kind of pulling that back in. And then what happened in May, everything took off again. And we're like, yeah, it was definitely pricing until we started talking to other people. I would say the signals that we get are literally people saying you're charging too little for the service and the level of service that you're providing. And so I think like once you're starting to see people, you should not be closing 100% of the clients. If you are, then like something is too cheap or there's another problem in the business. And we've got a very high close rate. And I think it's better to like maybe close 10% less because the price increase raised. But it's really about listening to your customers, looking at the market, getting feedback, and then holding your nose and holding your breath and just hoping you pick the right number for the next stage.
We're speaking with Ryan Hogan, co-founder and CEO of Talent Harbor Fox, a recruiting company that provides recruiting as a service. What if everything you thought about pricing was wrong? Today's guest is Ryan Hogan, a Navy veteran turned serial entrepreneur who built Hunt a Killer into a $50 million a year brand and is now on a mission to fix recruiting for growth stage businesses. If you struggled with pricing, Ryan brings bold insight, military grit, and real-world experience you'll want to hear. Now, let's get back to the questions. Ryan, how can you determine if pricing for your product or service is right for a subscription or a one-off or tiered pricing?
For us, it's really been about like the differentiation. And what I mean by that is with Talent Harbor, we took a totally different approach. Are our margins still good? Yes, but we don't do free work. So when you think about the other pricing models that are out there, typically it's 30% of first year compensation. So generally speaking, to hire one person, it's going to be anywhere from 30 to, I mean, we paid 90,000 one time for a CFO search. So like, let's call it like 30 to 100,000 is generally the range, depending upon the size of company and the level of expertise that you're looking to bring in to the organization. The reason that it's like that is because they do free work. And so when a recruiter or recruiting agency picks up work, basically they say, you don't pay us until we find the right person. and they don't always find the right person. So let's just take an average of 10 jobs. If they've got 10 searches on a contingent basis, let's say they can only actually find talent for 60%, which means the work that they did for free for the other 4 organizations is now being subsidized by the ones where they were able to find somebody. We don't do that. We don't subsidize by charging an astronomical rate for the clients versus to cover the free work that we would do for others. We said, hey, we do great quality searches. We will come in, we become a partner of yours, and it's a flat monthly fee. So I think a lot of that goes into first looking at the model and still being able to make money from it. Historically, like my last companies have relied upon external investors, VCs, family office. And so you could absorb some of the losses that come with growth. That's not our approach here. Our approach here is do great work, use a different business model, and still have similar margins that the other agencies have. And we look at that as a win-win-win, and we're able to pull it off. Great margins, great service for clients, and 60% less cost associated with the delivery of the service.
We're speaking with Ryan Hogan, co-founder and CEO of Talent Harbor. Ryan, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
Recruiting is a core competency. I feel like I already said this in one of the spiels, but an organization that's going out and posting to ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn, and they're relying upon people to hit the easy apply button, they're getting hundreds, if not thousands of resumes. That's not true recruiting. So if an organization goes out and hires a recruiting shop that knows what they're doing, generally it's all headhunting, which means for us, we focus on sales roles. The best salespeople are not spending their time all day on job boards. They are spending their time hitting and just doing amazing things with the quota that's in front of them. And so like headhunting or true recruiting brings a core competency and a competitive advantage into businesses.
Ryan, how can people get in contact with you?
I've got talentharbor.com and it's /Ryan. So talentharbor.com /Ryan. And like, I love hearing from people all day long. Like we have a help first philosophy. And so if someone just wants to jam on recruiting or they want some materials, like some actual templates that we use internally for ourselves, we give them away for free. But my email's there, my LinkedIn profile's there. Love to talk with anybody that wants to just jam.
Ryan, thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Sweet. Thanks for having me, Brian.
My sincere thanks to Ryan Hogan for joining us today. Managing the performance and future direction of your company are two of the most important things you do as a leader. This podcast is on YouTube and over 20 podcast directories. In search, type BCF ORG. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. And don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. And I'm here to help you. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, help you with a podcast, schedule a speaking engagement, or potentially be a guest like Ryan, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. All the podcasts are available by clicking on the website podcast page in the reference bar. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. In the next episode, 130, our guest will be Forrest Durr, discussing the $1 million leak. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You're never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks.